Here is a complete ranking of all 30 NBA teams. There will be some factors that I consider while ranking, like making the playoffs, winning, championships, and many more, but each team will have a score from 0 to 100. If you haven't checked out part 1 yet, from numbers 30 to 21, then see that first. But anyway, here are some of the more mediocre teams in NBA history. Number 20, Cleveland Cavaliers. The first thing that comes to mind when you think of Cleveland sports is LeBron James. He's made some good decisions and bad decisions while in Cleveland, but he nevertheless created a Cavalier dynasty in the 2010s. But outside of those years, they've had some pretty bad fortune. From 1971 to 2006, the Cavs produced 4 50-plus win seasons. First off, in 1989, they lost in round 1 after Michael Jordan made a buzzer beater. In the other 51 seasons, they would fall short to the Bulls again. Now that brings us to the LeBron James era. Although Cleveland did come up short in 4 NBA Finals, they did miraculously come back from a 3-1 series deficit to win their only title. Score 13.6. Number 19, Phoenix Suns. For a team with the 5th best overall winning percentage, they should be higher. A team with numerous MVPs and Hall of Famers, they should have a championship. For a team with, well, you get the point, but these are the Phoenix Suns we're talking about. In 1976, the Suns lost in the finals in triple overtime. In 1993, Charles Barkley and the Suns lost to Michael Jordan by a buzzer beater. In 1995, the Suns blew a 3-1 lead and lost in Game 7 by another buzzer beater. In 2007, they lost after Steve Nash got hip-checked. Now, after a 10-year playoff drought, Chris Paul and Devin Booker finally made the finals in 2021. Up 2-0, Phoenix choked the next 4 games to Giannis and the Bucks. If that wasn't bad enough, they also lost by 40 points in a home Game 7 and 30 in a home Game 6. Score 15.8. Number 18, Indiana Pacers. The Pacers are probably the most forgettable team in the NBA, at least to me. Indiana has really only had one superstar, Reggie Miller, who might realize today that he could have won a finals on any other team. Reggie led them to an NBA Finals in 2000, but they lost in 6 games to the Lakers. Since then, the only time the Pacers have been iconic is when Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, started a brawl in Detroit where even the fans got involved. The Pacers would soon settle their rivalry after meeting Detroit in the playoffs, and losing. Score 17.8. Number 17, Denver Nuggets. Despite having good statistics, it seems crazy that the Denver Nuggets have never made an NBA Finals. The Nuggets have made the playoffs 28 times, but only the conference finals 5 times. In 1985, Alex English and Denver fell short to the Lakers. In 2009, Carmelo Anthony was 1 series away from the finals, but the Lakers beat them again. The Nuggets are currently led by 2-time MVP Nikola Jokic, who lost in 2020 by, well, guess who? The Lakers. Currently, they are facing LA in the conference finals yet again. Score 23.5. Number 16, Atlanta Hawks. Once upon a time, the Hawks used to be in St. Louis. They got off to a pretty bad start, trading away a player named Bill Russell in 1956. That was a bad move. But in return, Bob Pettit helped them win an NBA championship in the 50s. In 1968, the Hawks moved to Atlanta, where they'd reached the playoffs over 40 times. But in that many postseasons, with names such as Dominic Wilkins, Moses Malone, and Lenny Wilkins, they appeared in 0 NBA Finals. Score 23.7. Number 15, Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are the 4th winningest franchise in NBA history. The Jazz make the playoffs 65% of the time, and even popularize the iconic pick and roll. But sadly, all this team will be regarded for is being the victim of Michael Jordan, not once, but twice. From the 80s to 90s, Utah made the playoffs 20 straight years. It wouldn't be until 1997 and 98 where they'd make the finals. Those 2 years were by far their greatest seasons, where John Stockton kept feeding the ball to Karl Malone and the mailman kept on delivering. However, both times the Jazz lost in 6 games, never winning at all. Score 24.8. Number 14, Detroit Pistons. The Pistons are known for being the villains of the NBA. This started in the 80s, when players like Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, Joe Dumars, and Isaiah Thomas would bully every team in the league. They picked up fights with many star players, mainly why they were nicknamed the Bad Boy Pistons. This team also held a dynasty, winning 2 titles in the 80s and another in the 2000s. Score 25. Number 13, Dallas Mavericks. Dallas has the 5th biggest market in the NBA, but outside of an underdog championship run, they've been pretty bad. Founded in 81, they didn't actually get a 60-win season till 2003. Their star player Dirk Nowitzki would help them sneak by the first 2 rounds, but then San Antonio knocked them out. A few years later, they one-upped themselves. In 2006, they made the finals. Dallas got up to a 2-0 lead, but 4 straight losses knocked them out. The only thing that'd make the Mavs worse is if they won a franchise record 67 games, Dirk win MVP, but get bounced in the first round. Yeah, the We Believe Warriors just came in and spoiled their dream season. But this story ends with a happy ending, because Dallas would win their only title in 2011. As underdogs against LeBron and the Heat, Dirk powered the Mavs to a ring in 6 games. Score 25.6. Number 12, Toronto Raptors. For their first 20 years in the league, Toronto was pretty bad. Vince Carter was their only good player, and even he couldn't help them in the postseason. But in 2019, the Raptors took a huge risk. They gave up a lot of their future for Kawhi Leonard, a player who only played 1 season for Toronto. But the risk paid off. Toronto won 58 games and made the finals. Kawhi would help them with an incredible buzzer beater, and they would also end the Warriors' dynasty in their only NBA title. Score 26.4. Number 11, Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder alone are not a top 11 team. They once put together a super team with Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, but they failed badly in the finals. Other than that though, they're usually known for blowing 3-1 leads and losing by 73 points. But before they were in OKC, the Thunder used to be known as the Supersonics in Seattle. Back in the 70s, they dueled the Bullets in 2 straight finals, and they came out on top in 1 of them. From then on out, Seattle would have buzzer beaters, superstars, and regular season success. But in the playoffs, the Sonics were lacking. They lost to MJ in the finals, and also in the first round as a 1 seed. Score 26.7. Thanks for watching, and be sure to watch next week for the top 10 NBA teams.